We could put our minutes off for a minute.
Right.
All right, we will open this meeting of July 25th, 2013. Let the record show that Selectman Jessamine is not present. Did we say yes to non-public?
Yeah, she did.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public per RSA 91A:3, personnel.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Do you want me to get Cindy? Or do you want to talk about it first?
Want to talk about it first? No, he's sick.
All right, we're back.
We went to that Fisher Cat last
Those are
night.
not-
Got deathly ill.
Those are not public minutes.
That's awful.
Oh,
No. He's an elected official.
you can't have non-public about an elected
Nope.
official?
Everything's in the open.
Oh,
Now
okay.
you read 91A and it'll tell you now,
Yep.
we're open
There is
books.
no
You're right,
such thing.
right.
We're open books.
Hi.
Catherine, those are not, Catherine? Those are not non-public.
Oh, man, we forgot to make cookies. Darn.
Make cookies
We didn't.
to do the official.
I dressed up for you, too.
Well, I came from the funeral, so.
Oh.
Excuse.
I didn't hear, I'm Selectman Dawson's looking over.
It's in you.
You think we just met?
Sorry about that.
And now it's up here for when you're ready to go down.
Oh, we getting old?
Bob, how are ya? Pretty good, Dennis. How you doing?
Did you say we needed to read these?
I'm sorry.
We needed to read these?
No, I emailed those to the full board, but I don't know if the board had
If we read them or not.
their email
Yeah,
pertinent to this meeting.
right,
And Sanborn Selectmen have been copied up, the Belmont.
right, right,
And the Northfield, I copied up.
right. Their loss. So,
We had a conversation at the Fire Commissioners meeting, a lengthy conversation about our involvement. They would really like us, our input but not sitting at the table and being a part of the process, because they felt that there being a governing body over fire, that they should be the only ones representing Tilton. Of course, being a selectman, our duties are very different, and we feel very strongly we should be a part of it. I found out a couple of days after, that we are expecting one commissioner to come.
Oh, that'll be interesting,
yep,
but nice.
yep.
After the decision. I mean, they talked about it after the meeting. And Northfield will not be coming.
Well, it just seems to me like, even like with Northfield, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, even if, other than just fire, there's other things that, like last time when we were in Sanborn, there may be other areas that we can help each other out, work together on certain things to save both towns, or 3 towns, whatever it might be, a little bit of extra money, because we can incorporate or share our our assets, or whatever it takes to get a job done. So, I felt when the meeting had ended that this was a very good beginning, and that there might very well be areas that we can help each other out, or, the very least, maybe we have a piece of equipment that you don't have, or maybe you have equipment that we don't have, instead of having to consider either going out and buying a new piece, that maybe we can make arrangements. And I guess I thought that was an excellent idea, especially in these times that we're in today, where every penny that we have that we don't have to spend is a good thing, so.
So I guess we've been reading in the papers that the Winnisquam Fire Station is supposed to be really in tough shape, and has anybody been over to see it?
Well, I think the Winnisquam Fire Station is probably just a dead end.
Right.
I mean, we keep spinning our wheels with it, and we have for a number of years. There's other buildings down there. Daniels Wells is vacant. It's designed for offices, it's designed for bigger trucks. The building, I think Channel Marine, is Channel Marine using it? Used to be the Sears building.
Yes, they're back in it.
Good-sized building, a lot of property out back. That's a possibility. So there are possibilities down there for us to expand and, you know, create something with Samberton if the district doesn't want to be involved, et cetera, et cetera. So there are other properties.
Right.
There's actually quite a few if you want to get creative. But I think if we're looking at something that both Samberton and Tilton would benefit on that end, it would be down probably past Dalton Road. And those are two properties I can think of right now. Actually, I didn't think of the first one. Someone else did. What is Samberton's needs for fire protection in that end of town, your town? It would be a substation for you, would it not?
It would be.
As it could be for us.
Currently, we all have issues with response times for that section of town.
Yep.
Our response times have actually improved with the completion of the Y project. Respond to Lower Bay Road completion where you couldn't last year.
Know it well.
5 miles an hour on the road, which we've seen anywhere from 3 to 5 minute shortening our response times to that part of it.
What is your response time going up and through that area?
So with the station staffed, we can be at that end of town in less than 10 minutes. At Steel Hill in 10 minutes flat.
You can be at Steel Hill in 10 minutes?
With the station staff.
How many
Through the
full-time
Bay
do you have?
area or up the backside?
It depends on the time of day. Sometimes we'll go up the back way, Stage Road,
Yep.
Eastman Hill. But if the dirt road tends to take a little bit more of a beating, we stay off of that. But now the Y project, again, as I said, Upper Bay Road is much easier to so, yeah, we have about a 10-minute response time. And to answer your question, during the daytime, we staff with 3 people. That includes myself.
So do you rely a lot on volunteer call fires?
They're all
Call-
volunteer.
All calls?
Per diems.
Okay.
Our nighttime calls are when we have the big issue. After 4 p.m., we don't have staff in the fire station. Is our biggest concern. Because then people have to come from home,
Right.
hit the apparatus, and then respond.
So when does, typically, what does that increase your call time to?
Anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. We do have duty crews that are responsible for coming out for calls from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. and they sign up for those specific evenings. Every member is required to sign up for at least 4 nights a month. So, but with that brings challenges as well, because there may be a night where we have people that are much farther away. They may not be coming from the core area of town. As myself, I live a mile from the fire station, but I may not be available that evening. I have to bring somebody from the other end of town. So there are some challenges. We have good days and we have bad days, depending on volunteers. Busy generally.
Pat, do you happen to know offhand what, does everyone know Pat Clark, one of our fire commissioners? Our response time up into that area, East Tilton?
We've got the data. I don't know it off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but we do have the data.
But we're staffed during the night, too. We're staffed during the day and night. So that kind of makes a difference there.
I can tell you if your ambulance to my house has been as much as 16 to 18 minutes.
That's not even all the way out to.
That's right, that's halfway.
We have to think of the traffic at exit 20. You can change the lights, but you can't part the seas, if you will.
Well, 20, I don't even think it's a big issue, it's Route 3.
Yep.
It's more of the issue, not exit 20. That's
Right.
Route 3. That's our only saving grace is we don't deal with the traffic on this one, but what we deal with and increases our response time is just that the road is like the normal road. There's a lot of, turns and twists, and you don't drive very fast. Take your time and do it safely. We're not gonna help anybody if we don't get there.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on a substation up in that area?
My thoughts?
Yeah,
Quite frankly, you probably already know my thoughts.
well, I wasn't at that meeting, so.
Well, I've been very vocal, even with my select board, that I don't feel spending money until all three departments are at the same level. It's feasible. The original plan from Belmont called for staffing during the daytime hours. That does me no good. My slack time is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon until the next day. That's when I'm discovered down that side of town because it takes us so much longer to get there, not during the daytime hours. So, with that being said, I look for more staffing levels, increasing our hours of coverage to give us better response. You can build fire stations on every block, but in our case, if we don't have the volunteers in that specific area to respond, having a building with an ambulance or a fire truck in it, it's a false sense of security.
Yep.
Right.
You don't have the manpower to respond to the apparatus.
So you're saying if there was one put up, you'd want to have it staffed?
It would have to be staffed, make it feasible, and really to make it work and get your money worth out. I don't know what the coal division looks like for until Northfield, whether they have people that live over in that area that are part of their call force. I can't speak to that, but I know we don't. I have 2 members that live on that end of town. One lives on Callback, one lives on Lower Bay, on the corner of Lower Bay and Halls. And that's just 2 people. And I guarantee that they're available. What's the point?
I think that's where we rely on the input from the fire, because we have no clue either to that level. I mean, we know that there's a serious issue up there for response time, and people, people need to have a good response time in that area, that whole area, since Winnisquam was taken out. And to be honest, there's a part of Northfield that's in the same boat as we are as well. I think there's a little less traffic where they are in Northfield, but
We have areas within the boundaries of Sanford that takes us a while in the evening hours. Hermit Lake Road.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long ways up there.
Yeah, it is.
So it's not just one area of town that's my concern. And that's why when I say that I'd like to see our staffing improve is to better the entire response and not just one little area. When we can get that, then I feel we're on the same page as everybody else, and then start talking about other issues.
And your closest station to there is in the square.
Correct.
Do you still,
Still have chapel.
did you still have chapel?
Yeah. That's you basically, for some of the call force that may be coming out of the Franklin line,
Oh.
it was on 127, but that truck is designed to go out on multiple alarm assignments normally. Plus we keep our forestry unit open.
Who helps you out in a situation where you need the mutual aid for that.
Northfield, Franklin, New Hampton.
Belm-
All in a mutual aid compact now.
Right.
Yeah.
We do it on a daily basis, and it's seamless to people that are outside that.
Yeah,
We do it now.
Yeah.
It's no different than law
Right.
enforcement doing mutual aid. We were just in Tilton Northfield last week
Yeah.
on a call because they had 2 ambulances out, and it was right on Sanborn Road. So we responded and covered the call. So we do it now. We have established run cards for certain types of incidents and alarm assignments that says, okay, I'm going to get this, this, and this from Laconia or from Belmont or whatever it might be. And it works just in the reverse. We go to Franklin, we go to Tilton. That's, mutual aid's been around for a long time.
does Belmont enter into that picture with mutual aid?
But you got to remember that mutual aid is designed when you have met your capacity.
Right.
All right, so we depend on automatic aid in the case of an ambulance or engine out, as Tilton Northfield did just last week. They didn't have another ambulance to respond to this third call. We in turn took the call for them. And we do the same thing. If we're out on another call, then we had somebody else come in and cover our second call.
Right.
What happens to those municipalities that don't have the facilities to reciprocate with mutual aid? There are some to the south of us that don't have.
Been reading the papers.
Nah, I've just known this for a number of years, communication. But yet, we provide mutual aid to them, if you will. They can't reciprocate, but we provide it. Technically, is that supposed to take place? Aren't those that are providing the mutual aid supposed to send them a bill, so to speak?
Under the mutual aid contract that we are all under Lakes Region, that very rarely happens. I don't think there's a time that a piece of apparatus hasn't been able to respond from another community if it's been available. Now, there's times that another community may be overwhelmed with their own calls, which
Right.
doesn't allow them to respond because now they're overtaxed with their own responses. And so based on mutual aid, you move to the next community and call for help from them.
But I'm talking about a community that doesn't have apparatus.
They're not
They
involved with
don't,
mutual aid.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't even be part of mutual aid. If they don't have equipment, they don't have a fire department.
Right.
And they would have to contract with another community.
thank you. What kind of staffing are you visualizing for a substation in that part of town? 2? 2 and 2?
2 people
Yeah,
have
no more than?
to run an ambulance.
Ideally, are you thinking 3, or would 2 work?
2's the minimum.
2's the minimum, that's what I'm looking for. 3 shifts?
The shifts are depending on how you have to set up the rotation of the shift schedule. There's so many shift schedules out there.
I know, that's why
I
I'm,
don't know what Tilton Northfield uses for a shift schedule. 42s, 48s, 56s. There's a multitude of different shift schedules out there.
but you're the chief we have tonight. What would you visualize it?
I don't know, I came from the system where we worked 56-hour shifts, 3 shifts. But it was, it wasn't as busy as some communities.
But you would have 2 men on those shifts, whatever they were.
It's not safe to have just one. You have to have a minimum.
Okay, I thought so. What would you see for equipment?
Probably engine and ambulance. It really all depends on the selectors from the communities and the Northfield Fire District. Come up with what level of service
Right.
you want to provide. We just, as fire chiefs, we just implement the public policy.
Yeah, see, for Tilton, it could go two ways, I see it, and that's just me, it's not, I don't represent the board, this is just me talking. Pre-1970, the Tilton, East Tilton was not part of our, well, it wasn't a district then, I'll call it a precinct. Tilton raised and appropriated monies to support the Winnisquam station for East Tilton. The west and downtown area, village area, if you will, was part of the precinct, or wasn't formed correctly, but district, if you will. We could go back to that situation whereby part of the town is getting service from the district, and the other part is creating some kind of agreement with Samberton and Tilton, Samberton, Belmont or Tilton, whatever. Or the district commissioners could decide to do something that would protect that end of Tilton and work with the communities. So it could go two ways. There's two avenues to follow. Well, there's a third, but we won't go there.
Well, I think that's what you're doing with the facilities. You're trying to look at that, both sides of that, on what to do with what we have now, Park Street, Center Street,
Yeah, I'm
East
here tonight
Winnisquam.
mainly out of respect for the Tilton Selectmen. You came to our meeting the other night, we talked about it. And at the end of the meeting, we kind of did a summary and said that we would have somebody come to this meeting to represent the commissioners, and the other two stepped backwards and left me standing out front. So I was want to note, actually, Paul is working right now, and Les is out of town at a funeral. So they asked me to come to them, and I drafted a letter. We had a non-public the other night, and I drafted a letter for them to read in the public session to make sure that I represented what their opinions were at that time. We talked about them a little bit at the meeting when you guys came, and we feel very strongly that there are three governing bodies for the area that we're looking at. One of them is the selectmen from Samberton. Another one is the selectmen from Belmont, because you have your own individual fire department. So you are in effect the fire wards.
The discussion.
The selectmen are the fire wards for those two towns. And in Tilton, it is actually the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS. So the district is like a little mini town of Tilton Northfield, forming a village district. And we have the responsibility for fire service, supplying water, for putting fires out, and for the ambulance service. And at the end of the day, what we need to do at district meeting, when we put together a game plan for the voters of the fire district, is we need to present a warrant article for people to vote on. Now, historically, we've had plenty of opportunities to look at our situation, and Tilton has gone off at least once that I know of, and we did the MRI report where we did a study of what the needs were of Tilton, and most of that I think had to do with the police department. Some of that might have had to do with the fire department as well, but out of that...
You're confusing two different reports.
Out of that came a life safety building study where we had, we looked at putting up a life safety building for police and fire, and there was a lot of time, committee time put into that, and that didn't fare well at district meeting, the fire district meeting. So we're very sensitive to making sure that whatever we do here in terms of working with the other two communities, that the first step we would like to do is to have the governing bodies at the table to figure out exactly how we want to move forward and figure out exactly what we all want. And is there anybody here from Belmont, for instance?
No.
Okay, so that's real important too. So our first step would be to get the governing bodies together, kind of talk about how you'd like to move forward, and figure out what information you might need, and to listen to input from the general public at these meetings. You're open to the public, and then to figure out where we go the next step. And that might be setting up a committee or whatever. But the first step, the governing bodies who are responsible to get back to the voters, we feel very strongly should be getting together to get the ball rolling. We also feel very strongly that there are, this part of
The
East Tilton
facilities.
is part and parcel of a master plan for the entire fire district in our case, where we need to look at all the needs in the entire district. And there are people and some of them in Northfield, many of them in Northfield, some in Tilton that feel that we should develop one fire station, and that should be at the Park Street station, and we should outfit that with sleeping quarters and have all the rolling stock right there, so that regardless of whatever event might come up, we'd be able to put together the right piece of equipment to go out and tackle that. That study had been done internally at the...
Pat, I'm going to interrupt you, and I don't mean to be rude,
Okay.
but that's not the discussion tonight.
Well,
The Board of Selectmen disagree with the fire commissioners, and let's just leave it at that. I mean, we do have authority for the provincial affairs of the town of Tilton, and that's what we're exercising. And in lieu of the time that we have, our history of disagreement is not what the discussion is here tonight.
All right, I'll pass out the summary of the letters that we developed for all three towns to...
I think the
have,
question...
And then I'll sit here and listen to what you have to say.
Okay, I
think
think the question that was on the floor was if the fire commissioners had given any thought to what kind of facility they might consider for the eastern end of town, and obviously that hasn't been considered, at least not recently. So let's move forward with that discussion. The valuable information from the fire chief from Samerton on what he envisions might be there. At least that's a preliminary.
Something that I'm concerned about too is looking at what are we talking for call volume for this area? You know, does Tilton have a really high call volume? Are they EMS calls or are they fire calls?
EMS,
Oh, no.
yeah, mostly for the Route 3 corridor and up there. I mean, there's probably chimney fires, but we haven't gathered those statistics as yet.
You know, and then again, the time of day, does it need to be open 24 hours a day, or are we looking at something that's just open when most of the call volume is? You know, and that would determine more like how many shifts you need, how many people we need to put in, something like that. Looking at those facts tell us what we're going to need. Right.
We would have to probably, well, we wouldn't have to, but we should consider another study. Tilton had a study done. The fire commissioners at the time were not inclined to take part in it, neither were the selectmen from Northfield. They did their best to look at, it was primarily for Tilton, but they did their best to look at the district as a whole and did identify the district as a whole, but most of it defines Tilton's needs. So if we were going to move forward with this, and I'm inclined to think we should, then I think a study would have to be done of the needs of at least the two towns, Samerton and Tilton, and should ask them, well, we should approach Belmont and see if they'd be inclined to take part in that as well. Northfield wouldn't benefit from a substation in that section of Tilton. They wouldn't benefit at all. So,
However, it would still be extremely important to get the input from the
fire commissioners,
because if in fact you go forward with information, and I know one of the reasons why Belmont wasn't here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we were talking about the Winnisquam Fire Station, which is no longer feasible to use. If you use other options, they may be willing to come into another discussion. But that being said, if that is an open for discussion, and fire commissioners are willing to join in on the discussion, now you have a whole set of different scenarios, because you have a possibility of a substation up in Winnisquam, and it makes a decision of Park Street a little bit easier. I mean, makes the options of their end and their decisions that they have to make a little bit more simplified. So I think that's another way to look at it.
The chief would like to.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to clarify something. You spoke that you had an idea of my vision for that area.
Well,
That's not my vision.
No,
for
just-
that area at this time.
it's just a,
It's the minimal that could work over there. But right now, we have to look at multiple things.
yeah. Thank you for
Also,
clarifying that.
The entire town is the same, not just one area.
The minute it came out of my mouth, I was like, that's the wrong thing to say. Thank you. Should we talk about a highway?
So I think if something really needs to be done, and we really need to look at it, and I'm really glad that everybody's here, so that at least it triggers us to do something, either talk further about it, get Belmont involved in it, and it could work as a whole. It could very well work as a whole. I'm excited for that.
The fire portion, probably, either we meet again with Samerton and talk about approaching Belmont.
Right.
Particularly if we know that, the fire station is off the...
I think it is.
And I think that's the reason why they're not here.
Well, it's a valuable piece of real estate to them, too.
Is there a location at all that you're thinking in Tilton?
Pardon?
Is there a location in Tilton that you're thinking about?
Well, I can think of two right off the bat. One of them is not one that I thought of, but the Daniels Wells building, which is up by the greenhouse, is now vacant. That's designed for equipment and offices. Closer to Jay's Marina is, it was Sears for a while. Now I believe the marina is using it. That's a large piece of property. Pretty easy building to expand onto. So those are two. And then, of course, as you come this way, there are other pieces, but to stay up in that end, that would be beneficial for at least the three communities. Those two properties come to mind. There's other pieces of raw land in the area, but...
I think Samerton already got this, but for the sake of Pat and others that here, this is a letter from Jean Bowden, and it says, after further consideration, the Belmont Board of Selectmen will not be attending today's meeting. Our board has made it clear that they are not interested in pursuing reactivating the Winnisquam Fire Station, and has mostly recently discussed the possible sale of the building. It is in poor shape, as detailed by a recent property assessment report, and we are moving forward with relocating our Parks and Recreation Department from the building. The board has confidence in the existing fire mutual aid system and is not interested in discussing other options related to fire and EMS service at this time. In the event the Tilton Board of Selectmen and others would like to get together to discuss other areas of mutual concern, the board would certainly be willing to participate and would ask to review the proposed agenda prior to a joint meeting. So, all right. Anything else?
Copy of the letter that Northfield sent out,
Yes.
Yeah.
all of us, that read into the record.
Yeah, do you want me to read it? Do you want to read it, Pat, or do you want?
Oh,
You can if you want.
It was sent to you or ahead.
Dear Selectmen, this is a response to your July 9th letter inviting us to the meeting you organized to discuss fire emergency services in the Winnisquam area and any other municipal issues of mutual concern. The Commissioners of the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS District are very interested in meeting initially with the governing bodies of the three entities mentioned, Sanborn Selectmen, Belmont Selectmen, and our District Commissioners, and to keep the discussion solely on fire and emergency services in the Winnisquam area, which is our area of oversight pursuant RSA 52:1:1, A, D, and N. We feel that this is part of the overall assessment we need to make for the entire fire district. To that end, we would certainly appreciate feedback from anyone else in the public body, especially from the Tilton Board of Selectmen. We feel strongly that a master plan for the district need to be developed and handled diplomatically by respecting all entities within our district. Just as you feel that the needs of East Tilton need to be addressed, others in the district feel that one location at Park Street would sufficiently work. Additionally, there may be some other potential location to consider or some combination of the above. History shows us that when we appear to be catering to single entities, we jeopardize obtaining the two-thirds vote necessary at the district meeting. We hope to meet to set guidelines that will guide all the public requests in a policy of consensus at our district meeting. To that end, the Commission has asked if Pat Clark would represent our body's overall opinion at your July 25th meeting, barring that he is not able to attend due to business constraints.
No, I was talking about I thank you for reading that. I was talking about the letter that came in today from Northfield about the meeting tonight. It was sent to the Tilton Board of Selectmen and copied to the fire commissioners in Tilton Northfield, the Sanborn Board of Selectmen, and the Belmont Board of Selectmen. Did you have that copy?
I got it.
What was that letter that you read?
That was from the Fire Commissioners, the one I just read. This one's from the town of Northfield. Dear fellow selectmen, we are in receipt of your letter of July 9th inviting us to a proposed meeting of the Boards of Selectmen in Tilton, Northfield, Sanborn, Belmont, and the Tilton Northfield Fire District Commissioners on July 25th to discuss fire and emergency medical services. We will not be attending this meeting. For many decades, the citizens of our towns have entrusted fire and emergency medical services operations to the fire district. Each year, the citizens of our towns elect commissioners to manage the district. We believe that it is our role as selectmen to work with commissioners, not attempt to undermine them. In closing, we ask that any concerns you have be discussed at the commissioners' meeting so that they can consider your concerns with the context of providing services to all district residents. That being said, our intent is not to undermine any process. Our intent is to bring forth our areas of concern that we've brought forth for many years, and way before I was a selectman, I've been a selectman for 5 years, that these concerns have been brought forth. And I think it's our hopes that if we all put our heads together, we can come up with a plan that will be able to satisfy everybody's needs everywhere, not just Tilton Northfield. And so it's not that we're going out and doing it just for Tilton. We understand the fire commissioners have a duty, and we don't plan to undermine their duty. But we would like to have some input into particularly an area that's been a contentious area in Winnisquam, because people have been without safe service for a long time.
But I'd also like to add, I mean, granted, we're spending a lot of time talking about the fire issues, and I know that this is very important to all of us, but there may very well be other issues that we can get together on and discuss and work out. And I think this is important. I mean, we are neighbors, and, you know, we want to be, you know, the more we can work together, the more we can each save our own towns, you know, and so I think anything should be, you know, up for discussion, and, you know, that would be out there that you would have, that you would like to discuss, you know, and the same with us.
Let's start highway.
Yes.
That can, you know, the purchase of equipment, road graders, dump trucks, all those wonderful gadgets can be quite pricey. And if communities can join together and purchase one of those and find a way to share it, I guess they call that regionalization.
Yes.
Did Catherine Dawson say that?
I said the word.
Put that in the record,
It's
please.
Hear her refer to the R word.
It's fortuitous to all. Dennis, what do we need we don't have, that Samberton has?
Nice big 120 grader.
Yeah, I've seen it.
For the one road, gravel road we have in town.
It's a pretty thing.
And you need that how many times a year?
Possibly just once. No, as far as the town of Tilton, I think that we're very well equipped. Roads and gravel.
We are. But as,
You already work somewhat with the other communities and share
We do.
issues.
Joe and I worked on, we discussed the problem that we had up there at the end of autumn, and John took care of the problem. Both got together and worked it out.
I think those types of things have happened for generations in small towns, and
Right.
we try not to lose that cooperation. And we probably don't have to do anything formal with it, do we? Our road agent? You don't need any formal agreements?
Well, one of my questions was, because in the course of this conversation about sharing, how we got mutual aid, and these work really well together, and you don't have agreements where they can help each other out very easily. I was made aware of some kind of regional emergency, like DPW pact, if there was out there. Now, I don't know where it is, I don't know where to go and find that information, who has it, what the plan is, but it was a resource that DPWs had in the area, so if they had an issue, that they had other people that they could call. Now, I realize in the spring, when we're in mud season up to our eyeballs, that everybody else is also in that same position. You know, you have a time during the year when we have these real bad rainstorms that like hit Lebanon and that Hanover area, and it's like people really came together over there. And I would assume that the same thing is going to happen here, but do you have to have a formal agreement, or is just the fact that we're talking and that our directors talk to each other? You know, does there need to be a master list of the equipment that we have made available to each town to say, hey, when you do need a grader, we're not using it for a day, or do you want our man too, or, you know, how do you work that out?
Yeah, and I'm sure under the mutual aid for fire and police, the liability issue is all worked out. It doesn't, as you say, is it worked out for Public Works? I wonder if Lakes Region Planning would add information on that.
Yeah. Do you know anything about it, Dennis? Emergency DPW?
No, I don't. I don't know the realities of the administration of it, okay? But I think that if there was an emergency situation, the was open, and either one of the directors called one another, I think they would just advise their board that whichever town is in need, and we've solved our problems, we'd like to go help them, and I think that would be the process right now until something was
Right.
in effect.
We do that in Northville now, right?
We do, yeah.
We do it in both. As Karen said,
Really get it too formal, because then we may get into an area where we
Oh.
can't do this, we can't do that.
Right.
Right,
So I think as long as the directors are getting along fine, and we're all in agreement.
Right, exactly.
that we work together,
Yeah.
I think that should work pretty well like that. We just need to get into an area where we might start to restrict certain
Right.
days, where we now seem to be doing fine.
if it works, yep. Totally
if
get
it
it.
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Yes.
And the liabilities is only my concern. I can't imagine the other, they like the R word these days,
Yes.
but I'll call Lakes Region Planning. I'll see if I can find out. That's a good point, Karen.
The county loves the R word.
Frighteningly so. Police. Unfortunately, our chief can't be with us tonight, but your departments probably exemplify mutual aid more than all the others.
We do, and I've been in this area since '96, and it's always been. Basically, the towns around here, Sanderton, Tilton, Northfield, Belmont, they're just not big enough to not have mutual aid. And we do have formal mutual aid agreements that have to be whenever a new chief comes in, they have to be done. But that adds another element to it. It adds our arrest powers to it. So we have extended authority. So when my guys comes in to help Tilton PD, we have the full authority of Tilton PD. Just as if they come into Sanderton, they have our full authority. And it's seamless, like with fire as well. I mean, they automatically, if they need somebody, they call. If Tilton PD has a domestic at 2 in the morning, then it's okay, have a Sanderton unit start, and Sanderton unit's there, and vice versa. And like I said, happens every day, several times a day. So, and it pays off for both. I mean, it saves. I mean, if we ever look at, like, for example, like overtime, if we ever had to call in overtime to cover some of the things that we do within each other,
Right.
it would break up all of
It would break us.
I mean, one search warrant, would break all of our budgets because, we not only work together, we train together. We do a lot of work together in training and everything. So it is seamless.
What takes place when there's let's call it a natural disaster? How do you determine, if the disaster is in, say, Sanderton, are you automatically the person who's in the control, who's in the driver's seat, so to speak? Are you the person that calls in other agencies to help in that disaster? Let's say it's tornadoes. How uninspected was that a few years ago?
Right. Well, basically, the way our mutual aids are written, it doesn't have to be the chief. Basically, any officer can request. Typically, it's the highest ranking one that happens to be on duty at the time. Obviously, if I were to come in, then I would assume control of the Sanderton part of it.
So it's like an emergency management plan.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but technically, the way it works is I'm the emergency management coordinator for the town center.
Okay.
So basically, I determine whether or not we open the EOC, and then start making communications with the police chief, the highway department, the select board, and figuring out a plan of where we go. And we basically use a unified command system, where he is directly responsible for his officers. One of my deputy chiefs will be directly responsible for the fire department. Director Van Dassel will be directly responsible for his personnel underneath them. And then I make the determination based on communications with the select board, whether or not we call in mutual aid or get to that point. When it's a natural disaster, we all have to work together within the community to make those decisions. We don't make them in a vacuum. We don't make them independently. So that's basically how that works if it was a natural disaster. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. A child lost in the woods, or an elderly person, or Alzheimer's, or a helpless person lost in the woods. Is that what you do? Do you immediately call Fish and Game, or do you call?
Responsible for all search and rescues of lost people in the woods. That's state law.
I asked that because I talked to Fish and Game a few years back about that, and their problem is understaffed because they're,
Right.
I'm going to say, not budgeted correctly. They shouldn't be under budgeted. But often, their Fish and Game people could be up on the Canadian border and the Massachusetts border and Vermont border, and it's, an hour to 2 hours before they can get here. And we all know that time can be critical.
Right. I was going to say, didn't that happen a year or two ago when it was Tilton and Sanderton that actually went out over by Sanborn Road, up in that area?
You can get in canine units.
Right. A lot quicker than,
Okay.
right.
A major search, absolutely, but we would be doing it.
Right.
So really, all these scenarios are already covered by I'm going to call it regionalization,
Right.
even though it's emergency management or mutual aid or whatever.
Yeah, what we do, law enforcement, and particularly in San Bernardino, we work very closely together, being the three largest department heads. We communicate almost daily. We're in the same building. We're directly fantastic, exactly. Some days I'd like to, but, you know, we do communicate on a daily basis on anything under the sun. So we, within our area, communicate. Now, with that being said, we're also, at least myself, are in almost daily communication with most of the local fire chiefs. You know, I had 2 or 3 conversations yet today alone with Chief Ober on the Swiftwater Rescue Team, because that's a regional team that's shared between Franklin, Belmont, San Bernardino, and Tilton North. So, you know, we're already doing it, quite frankly, and a lot of times you folks don't even see it.
Right.
And it happens seamlessly.
Thank you. That's excellent. I started that dialogue for the public that'll watch this tape, so.
I think
That's excellent.
I think one huge thing that we've accomplished today is, it's taken us, how many years? 5 years, and we've got Catherine Dawson to use the R word about 4 times. So that in itself shows anything can change. But it also means that putting our heads together, we can accomplish a whole lot more than if we were just out there on our own.
Right.
And trying to make things happen and make it work. And I think it's worth going ahead and having more talks like this and going forward and see where it takes us. I mean, it may not take us anywhere. It may take us someplace that we can get something accomplished.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, we can't make final decisions for fire, but we'd certainly like to have them on board, because they are very valuable input to us. Like to have Belmont come in and put our heads together and see if we can't come up with some ideas. I think it's wonderful. So I'm willing to do it again. Good.
I think the conversation is good, and I think keeping the open communication is all of that.
Yes.
I don't think it can hurt, so I'm willing to go forward, whatever we can do to make the process work.
I think even better than that, if I almost said if we didn't get together. And so close to each other, no reason why we don't, talk about
Yep.
issues.
What are your major issues? What are our major issues? Is there anything that we have in common and we can help each other with? Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's fantastic. We're neighbors. Let's be neighbors.
So let's try to get in contact with Belmont and see if we can arrange a meeting and try again with Northfield, and we'll get in touch with Pat and the rest of the fire commissioners. And also Chief Ober,
Chief Ober.
right?
And I'll see what
Well,
I can
thank you for coming.
find
I
out
really
on that
appreciate it.
pact.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah, I'll let you know what I find. I know how to find you.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank you so much for coming, all of you.
And I'm
It's
so
good to
sorry
see
I
you.
didn't make cookies.
Next time.
Next time.
Totally slipped my mind. Well, we should have Al make them, actually. He's a very good cookie maker.
Oatmeal.
Oh, my word, they're delicious.
Yeah. He's sick.
Yeah, he's,
That was so productive. Baby steps.
Huh?
Baby steps, but that was productive.
Well, that's how it has to start.
It was.
It really was. Well,
Just don't-
even though he said vision, I didn't, when it came out of my mouth, no, that's not the word.
But I mean, it's just a discussion.
Yep.
I'm
We're not-
sorry I interrupted Pat Clark, but I
don't
just
need
kept
to
looking at the
tread.
clock, and we're running out of time.
Besides,
I think he made his point, and that's what I was waiting for. So I apologize, but
Watch this. Dennis, got anything going on you need to talk to us about, or? You sure you're all set, everything's going fine?
Fine.
Is there any room in your budget we can take a few dollars out of?
You like to buy a grader? Want to buy a grader?
They got some pretty nice.
it is a nice grader. I love graders.
All right,
Okay.
on with the show.
Thanks for coming, Dennis.
yeah.
Okay. Looks like approval of minutes.
We should have a discussion later on about how we want to proceed, perpetuate this. Later.
Oh, later?
Yeah, we can do it later. Senator Sanders, yes. I gotta put this over here for that.
Okay, July 11th. Make a motion, we bring the minutes to the table for discussion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
I'm looking at the Winnipesaukee Trail. Can I ask a question, Joyce? Where do they park to get onto the trail at 140? You can't park there and ride. Okay.
I mean, they do, and they take their chances, but we don't advertise it, and we don't tell people.
Okay.
McDonald's did not offer.
And they put up all those big trees.
They're on their property now. Before the trees were on the state's right.
On page 5, is that how you spell the condo association? Or is it Contigiani?
I thought
That's not Contigiani.
Is that the correct spelling? The chair?
That is Contigiani's condo association, but that's not how you spell Contigiani. I was trying to think, is that who he was talking about?
Yeah.
Across from the Shalimar. Yeah,
I'll check it.
yeah.
I think it's Tigiani. I mean, I, right.
Yeah, it ends in 9.
Tigiani. I'll be glad when we're not reading about hotels.
Oh, my God.
That too.
On page 9,
What'll happen is also...
under Selectman Dawson, second paragraph where it says discussion, it says Selectman Dawson asked, and I think it should be why.
Because it was like, yep, we can take care of that, we can take care of that. He said there, it was hard to determine in the basement if there was an industrial problem, I'd say, because it's so dark. I asked the tenants, and none of them reported a problem. I guess there was some small problem with some insects, but Mr. Osley, seemingly according to the tenant, took care of that immediately. So, having said that,
Is there any more questions or concerns or?
No, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as corrected.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent job, Catherine, with the minutes. There's a lot of them.
describe to me what
You're going to do the non-publics, you know?
Yep.
most of the things that I discovered were not glaring.
7-3 shouldn't be too long, right? Do we have it? That's not it.
Do we have the non-publics?
Those are downstairs, they're sealed usually. You can jump
Oh,
into
okay.
All right, we'll go down and initial them after we read them. Got it. Okay. I guess, Joyce, you're up.
Pleasant Space.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Catherine? I sat over next to the speaker because I really wanted to hear what they had to say, so that's why I was sitting there.
Good idea. You,
Because they're speaking this way.
Right.
And it did pick it up on the thing, so that's why I was there.
were you here last week when we all, it was census that we said, could we get another one of these?
Yes, and Catherine did make a request of Tim.
Okay. Wonderful.
I spoke to a Trooper Schumann today, who was the state trooper that handled the accident report that you told me about. I had emailed the chief once you had called me to get the information for our insurance company, and also copied Ryan and Dickie, and hadn't heard from any of them. And then when I spoke to Trooper Schumann, he does have the report, but I would have to request that report through the chief. So I said, okay, I'll go back and request it, so I just requested it again.
Okay. So,
Is that something that, because you're going to be out, is that something I should follow up on?
I'll be in Monday.
Okay. All right.
I mean, unless you want to.
Nope. I'm fine with that.
Okay. I can forward you both my emails.
Okay.
But I do have the name of the trooper that investigated it.
Okay.
And is actually doing the report. If we don't have to this week, but next week, we should have a brief non-public. I can just bring you up to date on where we are with the Wilcox. That's the bridge one.
Yep.
I had a lot of activity with Gary Lane, who's the attorney, sending him documents that he needs, and I just want to keep you people informed every step of the way. So, Catherine, at our next meeting, if there's time, if we can have a non-public. I had a question. Last meeting, the board amended the hawkers and peddlers fees. What I'd like to do, with the board's permission, since I have the template in my computer, to go ahead and make these changes on the form, and then have the board look at it before we post it. And the one question I had is, it says, but they will still be required to have an official photo ID. If I'm asked, what do you consider official?
driver's license.
Drives.
and a little-
Right.
What does the
state-
Liquor Commission has a list of IDs that they will accept, and that's probably the same
Chris
list. that the-
Paquette, would get us that list.
Yeah, and I think the Secretary of State probably uses that same list for the state hawkers and peddlers.
Right.
So I think if we duplicated, we couldn't probably go wrong.
Okay, I just think we should have that on hand so that we know, Catherine, what, we know driver's license, but if they have something else with a picture, what we could, okay. So we'll do that, okay.
Maybe the Liquor Commission would fax us a copy. Or email.
We have a new trial date for the Gaudet appeal, April 2014.
Really?
And that was at their request, not ours.
Oh, to extend it out that far?
Mark Morrow's on vacation, but I did send him an email to get back to us. I know that he and Dennis looked at the Winter Street drainage in front of Mr. Barrett's, but we haven't gotten anything back from Mark on how he's going to correct that, so I'm just following up, and also following up with him on how soon he's going to be doing the work on Califf Hill Road. And we still have not received a response from Commissioner Clement.
Did you answer Jeannie's,
Yes, I
thing on Ray
did.
Burton?
Yes, I did, and I put it in your folder.
Okay.
Oh, and Dennis did notify Best Way about the change in time. I sent the board, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I thought it was interesting. The students, undergraduate students at Dartmouth had worked with various New Hampshire municipalities doing a study on school resource officers. So I thought you might like that, so I forwarded it to all of you.
I did, I got that.
Yep.
It was nice.
That's taken care of. Oh, I'd also sent the board, there was quite a bit of emailing going back and forth with the New Hampshire Municipal Managers Associations. There's an RSA 44716 that it says may, that towns may require for any public works project or building project that if it's less than $35,000, you can still require some sort of security or bond.
That was interesting.
So just throw that out there. Our Silver Lake, we received the final report, and they want a response or comments back by August 2nd. So you're meeting August 1st. So if you wanted to wait and do that August 1st, or if you wanted to start, you know how they gave the
I've been reading it.
scenario? Yeah, I haven't read it yet either, haven't had a chance. But it's basically what they had presented that night, what their scenarios are, but they're looking for formal comment before they can come back with their final recommendation. I also printed a color copy if, I think it's nicer sometimes, so I do have an extra color copy if anybody wants it. Did you print out a color one, or?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I'm proud I double-sided it.
Well, then this can be the official town copy then.
Nice.
Notice I did not write on it in red. Okay. So, let's see, I already did that one. You did that one. Local Government Center, this is good news. They will also be sending the towns the contribution holiday for 2010. And we're supposed to be getting that in August. I remember that they said that they were considering 2010, they were waiting for an appeal, and they decided to go ahead and do it.
Wow.
So for 2010 surplus, for Tilton, the amount of the return for medical is $46,593.50. And dental is $2,329.97. We should be getting this, I asked for that in a check, and we should be receiving that on August 27th. The 2011 contributions, remember we received half in January and the other half plus the dental. We didn't get the dental, we'll get the dental in August. We said since we already have it set up in our system to do as the contribution holiday, we'll take the credit on our invoice and then just reduce the amount of the contributions from our employees. When we did it last time, for most employees, it was just a one-time deduction, monthly deduction, and some of them, like the family plans, it did, part of it went over to the second month. So that's good. And I told Tim about this already. Road safety audit. You did that. Also, I had sent the board, there was a notice from the Department of Safety that because they get a number of requests for criminal records checks for people who are applying for hawkers and peddlers license. They just want to make sure that our ordinances are up to date. Did you get this? I know we had talked about that once before with Dan Crean when we said we were going to be updating our complete ordinance.
Oh, but we don't have this as part of ours currently.
That is correct.
I did see this. This is also very interesting. Thank you, Joyce. Did you see it in your email?
So I'll keep that with our hawkers and peddlers, and when, next time we do an amendment.
Yeah, we should, and bring it up to date, put that in there.
We had a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas. Just need to be more time, more time.
You know, I'm finding now,
Let's do a 10-hour day.
things seem to have settled down some, you know, I know, but we're not building anything right now. So it's a chance to get caught up.
It is.
It's nice.
It is.
It's very nice.
We're afraid of what might happen.
Okay, I forgot to put this in your minutes, in your selectmen's correspondence. In your file, you would have seen a Phase 1 site assessment. So the
Oh, is this for?
Conservation Commission
Yes,
for the
this is-
Martin piece.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the DOT piece.
Yeah.
And so they had voted to go ahead and have that updated because it had been more than 5 years. And I was reading the rest of their minutes from July 15th, and I don't know if you were aware, but they are also want to work with the selectmen on developing a location for snow storage.
I was aware of that.
Okay.
I've been talking to him.
All right. And then I can just give you a quick update on our tax deeds. I'll use map and lot numbers. Oh, of course, on this one I don't have. This was the most recent one that we were doing, that we signed the letter to tell Cindy to go ahead and execute the lien again, because we're going to deed it, and Franklin Savings Bank paid the taxes, so that's off our list. Oh, God, I don't have the map and lots here. In your selectments to be signed, I have a payment agreement,
Yep, that's it.
and I also have the abatement that you had approved last week. And the other payment agreement that we had, the gentleman is going to be coming in this Friday to sign it. I spoke with Attorney McGuffin today on the one that we're doing the eviction. He said he is still working on the title search, which we need because I need to come up with a dollar amount that, when I send the letter that we're going to auction off, I need the total dollar amount. And also to make sure that no one has been overlooked as far as a lien holder. But he promises that will be done soon. And he has been in touch with the person's attorney, so they know what we're doing. So I think we're in pretty good shape. And I just need to look through the to be signed to see if there's anything else in there.
I noticed that Cindy doesn't have a timesheet anywhere, they did this back in Boston.
That's my fault. I totally spaced it.
I did
I left
receive
them
them
in.
today.
Where did I leave them? I brought them downstairs and left them in
Tim's office.
Tim's office. Tim's office? Oh, yes, when we were doing capital cleaners. I did. And I should have brought them to Joyce. Just,
Is Cindy going to start giving you a timesheet?
No, she's never been asked for one as an elected official. She's not an employee, considered employee.
It's a,
New Hampshire Retirement System would like to have documentation.
if there's no documentation, it could prove to be grief for her, like,
could prove to be grief at any time if they wanted to pull it out and say, show us that you are working, well, our policy says 35 hours a week or more to be eligible for full-time benefits, including New Hampshire retirement system.
I mean, I know she's not interested right now, but one day.
Well, it would be good to document that she is working.
Has that been explained to her?
No.
Well,
I would be happy to explain that to her.
well, please do, because, if she wants to, be able to, without a lot of hassles, get her retirement someday, she might want to know about that.
Right, and I'll share with her the email that I received from New Hampshire Retirement System. This has been an issue with elected town clerks and tax collectors, is making sure there's documentation.
Well, I mean, it's just to make things easier for her later, so, it's to her best interest to do it.
And then I gave you an envelope of PARs of the to-be signed and evaluations for the ones that you've completed already.
Where are they? Here?
Yep. Yep.
And I gave a copy of the minutes from our meeting that Catherine had those.
Yep.
And in your selectmen's folder, Pat, you have the script for the public hearing?
I was just looking for that.
Yeah, I gave that to you last week. And also I texted Jane to remind her to come. Well, this is one thing you have to read at the hearing, but I gave you the whole script. If not, I can go downstairs and get you another one. Yes.
Which one is it? The bold?
Yeah, this is just follow this outline, and then when you're taking, Jane should be here to address the board. And then when it comes time for public comment, they ask that this be read into the public record.
Okay.
Do I need to call Jane to remind her? Should I give her a copy of this, or do you think she'll bring it?
Probably a copy.
Okay.
Wow. So this is actually, the assessment has been done.
Yes.
And the site is suitable for intended purpose. No evidence of recognized environmental conditions. Should have taken a lot of pages to get there,
Thank you.
but isn't that nice?
Yep, it is nice.
We'll shut my mouth.
Getting back.
Yeah, that'd be good.
How nice is that? So Terminix isn't finding any rodents, huh?
No, I usually get, every time they come, I get a slip and I keep them, and then I just thought, oh, I should let the board know that they found it. I think the smell that they were complaining about last week or 2 weeks ago was the air conditioner. We got that cleaned up, so.
Because it was backed up. I'm all set, thank you.
Those are big documents. Have you looked at this? FYI?
Yeah, I looked at it today.
Way ahead of us. Way ahead of us.
It happens.
Oh, I saw in the minutes where on the Manville Road, I was gonna say, I found all my stuff if I can either help you with it, or if you wanna use it.
Thank you. No, I think I've got everything I need. I've got the subdivision. I have, no, I'm good, thank you. It's pretty cut and dry. I've had a couple discussions with Dennis so far, and yeah, we'll just go forward with it. It's pretty easy.
Are you going to ask for an easement on Priam and the piece across the street? I know we have a conservation easement on it, but where we would be putting in the drainage, there's no wetlands right there. And I had already been to see the Conservation Commission, we discussed it. And I have the conservation easement that goes with that piece. But, I think we still probably should contact, because the property's still in the name of what was the outlaw owners.
Well, the question is, one of the questions is that I'm going to get the answer to from DES is, what do they consider that swamp right now? It's almost a lake, but that feeds into the Tioga Aquifer. So, there's some questions we have to ask about that.
Right.
Because we're, I think so too, because we're proposing to drain those roads directly into the wetlands.
Well, along the road edge, so is that wet right now? I mean, I know according to the maps that I looked at, the wetland is further back from the road than that.
Not right now.
It will be.
So. But thank you for that offer. I may take that up.
Well, I have a lot of different stuff that I, had found and looked up and made copies of before, so I have it, so.
Oh, this is, I see what this is. I'm going, what is this?
Al, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, we met today with Scott McGuffin on 822. We'll come to some sort of solution, hopefully soon.
That's green, I'll highlight this for green.
And everything's going good
Good.
so far. Oh, the week's over, never mind.
So far, so good?
It is good,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
until Monday.
it did one.
I have a question on these arrangements we make with properties we've deeded. Are we requiring them to show us proof of insurance, or do we also insure their property?
It's under our insurance right now.
Okay.
It's in
So
our name.
but they're continuing theoretically to have their own insurance on it?
Correct.
Okay.
We don't insure their contents.
Yeah, we don't.
No, I'm thinking liability. Well, and
assume.
fire, if the building, we own the building, so is our insurance more than just liability? So is it going to cover these buildings if they burn?
It covers the building and liability.
Okay.
Not the contents.
No, we don't care about the contents.
We put down the building costs new, not the assessed value.
This is new.
Oh,
Because if we have it underinsured,
We're responsible.
we're responsible.
Correct.
I'll
We do
hand
not
this
wanna
to
be
Jane when she comes in.
no, we don't.
That one's there.
I gotta see.
I think the FYI.
We had an email from a
To read.
business owner that would like to have a car show
Also, in that
downtown.
pile that I inadvertently left in his office is
come
next
on.
week's time card. When I went in there, I left.
Oh, there were three of them. Yes. you're right.
I didn't
One of
pick-
them is for next week.
I didn't pick it up
Yeah.
and walk across.
No, I got 'em.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, no,
All right, good.
take that.
I'll try. Next time I'll go to your office first and leave my stuff there and then go.
This is what I read.
You can leave whatever you want in my office.
Joyce.
There you go.
This is what I read.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and then you go to the script.
Okay.
Pat,
Okay.
you know where downtown he wants to have that car show?
Main Street.
So he wants to shut it off?
Main Street?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't want to shut it off. Main Street or... somewhere down Main Street.
Did you go through this?
Yes, there's a thing.
Does he want to shut it off?
Huh? Do what?
We told him to talk to both chiefs. Come in and talk to us.
I told him, email back, he emailed me, I told him call me on Monday.
Mail and nothing saying this?
Well, I got an email back.
Yes.
I had sent questions. I said, Dear Kathy, I have a few questions to ask so that we can discuss this tonight at our selectmen meeting. How many cars are you talking about? Are these cars going to be displayed downtown? If so, where will they be parked? Could you give us an idea of what you have in mind so that we can consider what would be needed and how it would affect neighboring businesses? And I got an email back that said, Hi Sandy. We are just at the beginning stages. We spoke to a few businesses this morning. They seem to think it was a good idea. We would like to see it on a weekday between 4 and 8 p.m. We are not sure how many cars would attend. It would be nice if the cars parked in the downtown spots on Main Street so all the guests could walk along Main Street to view the cars. I think it would start out small until it catches on. We think this is a good idea for the downtown area. It would bring a lot of people down for the local business. This really should not affect any businesses as it would be towards the end of the day.
The only thing I can think of though is, for something like that to happen, is they'd have to shut off either end and reroute the traffic.
In the municipal parking lot.
Yeah, there's no way you could have a car show on the Main Street and not shut it down.
Well, Billy's doesn't close until 5. You have a couple of hair salons that don't close until 6. The consignment place doesn't close until 6.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, my thoughts on it is, first of all, between 4 and 6 p.m. at night, Route 3 is a madhouse. We've all had to sit and wait 2 or 3 lights to just get to downtown. So that to me would be an issue. You know, I mean, I want them to be able to do these special things, but are all the businesses going to be happy about this? You know, and if they have to block off traffic, you know, I don't know. I have
but if they're bringing people downtown, the businesses, I would imagine, would be very pleased.
But why couldn't they talk to, is it Northway that owns Providian now? And utilize that parking lot?
Right.
It's really a private parking lot.
Right.
Oh, you mean to put the cars in there?
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
perfect. You wouldn't have to shut nothing off.
Yeah.
In order to have it on Main
'Cause,
Street,
yeah.
you'd have to block the Main Street.
Well, you're gonna have pedestrian traffic. People are gonna forget that that's actually a road. They're gonna be
Yeah.
walking out into traffic because they're
Yeah.
looking at
Pedestrians, that's what
and
I'm saying.
oogling cars. Yeah,
That's
you're
what I'm
right.
worried about.
You're absolutely right.
One step out of the back end of a car, and guess what?
Did I miss that?
Yeah, you missed all those.
It wouldn't be the first
That's
time.
what we did yesterday, Catherine.
Oh,
Those are all the ones we did yesterday,
okay.
except yours. And we need to talk to you about yours first.
I was gonna kind of hold the same thing. I look at it as a salary
Heather's is all
position,
set to
doesn't
go.
need a raise.
For PAR,
Heather's is all set? It wasn't in there.
Oh, no, that was a vacation thing.
it's in the envelope I gave you.
Do we ever know,
No, you took them out and you...
Catherine's got it.
Oh, you have.
There's one envelope that had 2 in there that are folded. One is Heather's that we've made a decision on, but we didn't talk to Heather first, and one is Catherine's, which we made a decision on, but we haven't talked to her yet.
Early today.
And they are in that one envelope that we opened. It's a big manila envelope.
All I had was what...
No, you didn't, I gave it to Catherine. And then there's another envelope that's sealed from Highway and another one from PD. No, you can do the PAR next week, because it's retro anyway.
All right, so because those won't be processed for Monday, the two that you're just talking about, you've already decided on? I mean, I can go ahead and make those up, at least so that will you be talking to them before next Wednesday?
I'm going to talk to Catherine tonight.
This Catherine or that Catherine?
This Catherine.
Okay, I can go ahead and print those out, and you want to sign them tonight?
Okay, and I can give Heather a call and talk to her.
I already talked to her.
Oh, okay, then Heather's been talked to. So she's all set.
Do we ever know when it says emergency shift coverage in the police? I know the emergency is they need somebody to cover the shift, but do we know?
It's never an emergency, no. Because
Do we
it
ne-
could
yeah.
be somebody calling to go to the beach with his wife and took a big day off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do we know what?
But it's an emergency according to the police because we need that.
We need the coverage,
covered.
yes, so we
Right.
don't typically know, I mean, is it a repeat thing? What controls
No,
that?
contractually, they can do it
Whenever they want.
whenever they want. You can call in today and say, I'm not coming in today because I'm
don't
taking
feel
a
like
paid-
it.
I have a paid time off day and I'm taking
I'm
it.
gonna paint my nails, and they need plenty of time to dry.
I'm gonna do that. That'll be my next excuse.
However, if you wanted to take 2 or more, contractually, they have to give you
A doctor's
a notice so many days in advance.
Oh, look at that, I'm missing a signature spot.
Al, yours is in there, be careful not to sign yours.
I'll sign it. Peter Fogg.
Other than that, we have a half hour, we can do the rest of the evaluations if you want. And then we have 6
Rest of
o'clock,
the
we can go.
evaluation.
I have a couple of things.
Half an hour? Give me a break.
Yeah,
I have a couple of things.
okay. I asked already.
Oh, I didn't hear you ask me.
Wow, man.
There might be anyway.
I mean, I have one that can wait, but next meeting's probably going to be interesting.
Monday at 11:30, we're meeting to do the evaluations.
For the
Well, I'll be here.
police and highway.
Police and highway are left.
Yeah, I can do that inspection later in the week. I gotta go to to school. Yeah, that's fine. I have the road committee meeting the first Tuesday of next month. Before they meet, I wanted to get a feeling from the board what exactly they wanted the road committee to do besides organize and the prices and whatnot on Dennis's plans. Do they want the road committee to negotiate Class 2 state aid road projects? That's what the previous committee did. Or, just exactly what you'd like them to do. Look at sidewalks as well. And, I mean, like I said, they're not
When you
me.
say negotiate the 2/3, 1/3,
They bring it to the Board of Selectmen for approval. They just simply do the footwork. This,
look at the numbers,
yeah,
here's the
this
numbers,
committee
here's what
makes
it is.
no decisions on their own. This committee reports to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, I'm good with that. I like that idea.
So, go ahead and do all, okay. I'll have them choose their officers, mission statement,
Yep.
all that good stuff. I'll get Dennis's stuff, I'll print out for them, and I'll be on their way. Just a kind of an FYI, I had a number of people call me, and actually I experienced this too. I put out a cardboard box of recyclables because I just had an overflow in the bin. I got to do something about crushing cans. They picked it up and threw it in the garbage can. They treated it as trash, as garbage, not as recycles. And then I had another person call, two people called me up and said the same thing. One woman had 2 extra bins of it. And I said, well, you need to talk to the town garage about getting an extra bin, even if it's another smaller one. But nevertheless, so they did the same thing. They dumped all hers in with the garbage. So I called Casella, and the woman I spoke to said that if you're going to put your recycles in other than the bin that's marked recycle, you've got to mark it recycle, because they're not going to pick through your trash to see that it's recycled. They may see the surface, but they don't know what's on the underneath, because some people, are throwing cans and whatnot into the garbage.
Right.
So if you designate another trash can as recycle, make sure it says recycle all over it. The park commissioners Monday night made a decision to terminate the current cleaning company that they had in the park. There was obviously it wasn't working out. I have to say, Tim handled the whole thing brilliantly. We came to an agreement of terms. We paid them from the first week of June forward, and the 6 weeks previously, we're not paying them for. They agreed to that. They hired a new cleaner. We've not contracted with them. I'm going to meet them tomorrow morning at the park, go over the RFP, make sure they understand, and make sure that their price is good. I have some concerns about their price. It's very, 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 very low. So I want to make sure that they fully understood what the RFP is. It's 3 days a week, not 1 day a week, before I say we've hired these people. I have a copy of the language to change the detail language we talked about a few weeks ago. I have my suggestion at the top. The one the chief sent me is the second one, and then I combined the two to make the one on the bottom that says hours, because, oh, thank you. And here's one for Catherine.
This is for Catherine.
Oh, well, here's one for Joyce.
Before we move on to this, I just wanted to let you know I had done the walkthrough at Riverfront. And I met the gentleman there Saturday morning, and when we opened the kitchen, I made him open it so he would know how to do it. I was embarrassed. That kitchen was filthy.
Yep.
There was stuff all over the floor and spots everywhere, like it hadn't been cleaned. And the top counter is stainless steel, and there was like blobs of stuff that were like dried on there. And, I looked at the guy and I said, this is really embarrassing. I've never seen this kitchen like this. I said, please, if I had a cleaner, I would clean it myself, but before you use this counter, please wash it off.
Isn't it awful? That is my experience as well. And we have stainless steel cleaner. The maintenance room is a plethora of cleaning stuff. I mean, one of the things they're doing that was making me nuts is they're taking their wet cloths and draping them over the electrical boxes to dry. I mean,
Cool. The second shelf of the stainless steel, there's the top and then the second shelf, there must have been dust and dirt on it like this. It looked like they had never washed.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that they haven't. If you look at this ordinance, there's some, Bobby made the sentence structures flow much better and took out too many words, and I often use too many words. But what I did is I utilized his, and then I added language that was in the original ordinance that I thought should stay. And I added where it says contractors working for the town of Tilton, just so that there would be no confusion if the town of Tilton hired somebody to put in a box culvert.
What about the contractors that the sewer department hires? Is that considered the town of Tilton?
Good question.
I mean, my problem that I have, and, I'm sure there's excellent contractors out there, but none of us have any say whatsoever in who the sewer commissioners hire, don't hire, who they use, how experienced they are, have they ever had detail, school, so that they know how to do things like this?
That's why they shall consult with the Tilton Chief of Police. So basically what this says is that it doesn't apply to them, but if the Chief of Police says, you do need a detail where you're going to be, rather than trained safety personnel, then they will have to have a detail. So I guess we could leave out the contractors part, because I think you're right, Sandy. I think it's covered in the others.
But is that any, because now the sewer commissioners, they don't go out there and work on the roads themselves, right?
Yeah, they do.
No, they hire all contractors.
Well, it depends on what it is. They can be,
They don't work on the road, they may go work on them,
yeah, they don't
Pump
work on
station.
road projects. It's,
but they hire all the road projects out.
Right.
But Academy Street, when they want to open up Academy Street, didn't Joanna have to do some of that? She had work to do that she...
she had work to do, and they often, there's some things that they can do, depending on how complicated the breakdown is, especially for the pump stations. There's some things they can do themselves, but I think Elle's right, typically, if they're replacing pipe, they're hiring a contractor.
Yeah, they're not, they contract all that out.
Right.
But I mean, it's like we know with our highway department that they're trained. They have to go to school to learn how to do that. Are the sewer commissioners going to go to this school and learn how to do this?
They're gonna have to be.
I would say that would be paramount.
Yeah.
Let them go...
It says, or trained safety personnel.
So I would say that they need to be sent to that school,
Yeah.
and then after they get sent to that school, then this applies to them.
Right.
Well, I think it applies to them now, because if they'd have to have trained safety personnel, it doesn't have to be them. So if the chief says to them, you don't need a detail there, they'd have to have trained safety personnel. So if they're not trained, if they're not qualified, and there are professional flaggers out there, they'd have to hire professional flaggers.
Or hire a detail.
Or hire a detail.
But I thought the problem of this came up because they were working on Academy Street, and now, maybe I heard this wrong, but the fact that they got upset with the fact that we said that the water district, they were going to close the alleyway, would not need a detail. Because if it's closed, why do you need a detail? But that they were upset because they had to have a detail on Academy Street. Now, I agree, if they're working anywhere in town on a town road that is not heavily traveled, then more than likely, they probably don't need a detail, but it's still really up to the chief. Because it's like Winter Street. I know Scott had called me and was complaining that they had to have a detail on Winter Street. He said, when we were up there at that corner, I think we saw 4 cars. And I said, if you had been a half hour later when you got there, there would have been a whole shift change from the soldiers' home, and it would have been chaos. That's why the detail was there, because it's, the potential's there. And when you ask them, you didn't tell them what time you were going, so I mean, how's he gonna know? But anyway, it's just the idea that I have this hang-up because to me, I'm not doing this because I want to say, well, I want them to have to buy, pay for a detail. That isn't it at all. It's the safety aspect. And the idea, I want to see pedestrians, the workers, and traffic. I want them all protected. And to me, I don't see how you can do that unless you have somebody out there watching the cars. I mean, like I saw one Fortunately, it wasn't in our town, so. But we were in line going by, and they had this flagman out there that was making cars go by. Well, 2 cars in front of me, he started out because the guy's telling him to go, and the backhoe thing swung around like this, and if he hadn't seen that car there, he would have probably killed the driver in it, because the whole backhoe would have smacked the front end of his car. Now, that was a flagman, but obviously he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing.
Yeah, you don't
So-
know if it was trained or just the personnel of the
Or somebody
contracting
that stuck a
company.
hat on it and they gave him a sign,
Yeah.
so you don't know.
That's why the chief put in trained. I had qualified, I think. I had qualified safety personnel, and the chief specifically put in
But
the
if the
train.
chief is
But
al-
I'm the one who suggested this change, and it was only because when I was reading it through that night, I realized that we didn't include our other department that often works in the road, which is the sewer department. And I just felt we should treat the 2 departments equitably.
Well,
Do you, I think that the combination of the 2 is much more thorough than one or the other ones.
Yeah, he did, but I will take, Sandy's right, I'll take out that contractor's line. And we can wait for Joe if you want, and in the meantime, I'll fix that contractor line.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, it's...
And if anybody else, after you reading this, a few days later, have any suggestions, just send them off and we'll incorporate it.
All righty.
Yeah, he puts a much stronger language in it. Like, or creates a safety hazard.
Well, that's really all it's about, is we just want to know that nobody's going to get hurt.
Right.
Everybody's safe.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what he did. He tightened it up so that that's just what it says. And it applies to both departments.
But I do feel if we're going to do this, then they have to go to school.
Well, if they themselves are going to be the flaggers. Right. But if
Oh, just if they're working in the road with no flagger.
if their contractor has trained flaggers, then that would work. Well, it would be up to the chief, but
Well, I still feel that it needs to be the chief's decision.
it is. For both departments is his
Yes.
ultimate decision. I thought I
But I
signed
mean,
this.
we all know, because we've seen it happen, that even when the our highway guys, I've seen times when they're working downtown, they call and they send down a uniformed policeman to direct traffic. Depending on where they're working.
On this one is yours. You need to sign employee signature here, okay? Not down here, selectmen.
Okay,
So you don't get it confused, and that's your
okay. Okay.
Did you sign under employee? Oh, you already signed it yesterday.
Put John Hincks on.
I just messed up Heather's.
Why?
The line through it.
I could white it out and copy it.
Oh, okay, I just asked.
Well, I can white it out and copy it.
She's got it right in the computer. She can just
Oh.
reprint it.
Okay.
Joyce? Can you reprint, Heather?
Was it a mistake?
We did.
We did.
Just reprint it for us.
I was gonna white it out and copy it.
Same thing. Thanks.
Safe to tear up?
Safe to tear up?
Safe to tear? I just want to get confused. It's public, but I don't want to get it confused with the others.
All right, we need to make it. The only other thing pending is, what do you want to do about elected town official? Do we want to bite the bullet and go forward and do it on the budget next year?
That's what I'd say we should do. We have identified many times when we've done things that we probably should have done differently and didn't. I thought of one.
The employee's expense.
Not at the employee's expense, and, it's like when let's look at the fire district, when they recognized that they had not properly organized as a fire district, we didn't abolish them and say, oh, whoa, you can't fight fires because you're not, and they were not a properly formed district. We did what was necessary and corrected it, and they continued to do their job. We didn't penalize them by making them stop.
Albert?
Well,
Are you okay living with that?
We're the ones who shuffled it. Oh, Joyce, you all right? She's laughing.
Wait, my knee. Get yourself in let me get in a position where I can get. Went down slowly.
They can't get her up because she's laughing too hard.
It was in slow motion. I'm back.
Wow, that was quick.
Thank you.
We know that.
I said they already know that.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, Tim,
Is she still downstairs?
No.
Joyce is going to talk to Cindy, but everybody's supposed to tune in on Tuesday.
Yes, yeah.
So, and there's two missing this week, so Catherine knows and Joyce is going to talk to Cindy, because it's to Cindy's best interest.
Oh, I turned mine in. I'm late on 2 weeks, but I was early on one.
The timesheets have to be turned into Joyce.
Joyce.
Just admin. Just admin.
Yeah.
PD and highway go directly.
Are these all go to, or does everyone get one?
Well, I don't know, I'll give them to Joyce. No, I know that, and I tell people when they bring them to me, I tell them to give them to Joyce.
Okay.
All right, back to our discussion before we got crashed, so to speak.
I'm gonna start calling her Crash. And, get rid of those J's.
All right,
Does that have enough legs? It does. Huh.
what's the consensus?
I'll make a motion that we give the 2.5% merit raise to the town clerk, tax collector, and make certain that we correct our error for the future.
I thought it's not a merit raise.
It's our mistake.
I thought it's not a merit raise.
What?
It's not a merit raise.
Did I say merit raise?
Yes, you did.
Yes, you
I'm
did.
sorry. Strike merit from my motion, please. The raise, the 2.5% raise. Make a motion, we give the town clerk, tax collector the 2.5% raise indicated in the budget, and that we correct that error going forward from this point for the budget cycle we're about to enter. Oh, that's cool.
We will correct the way that we do it, the procedure. It will go under her line item, and it will be voted on at town meeting.
We should just put the merit raises all back into the way we had it before. Each department.
It's more, the problem with that is when you only,
Oh, good point.
that's why we did it.
I think Pat seconded it. Did you second it?
I didn't hear a second.
I'll second it. I don't believe we should do it at the expense of an employee. We are aware of a wrong. However, going forward, for the sake of discussion, I think it needs to be corrected, and it needs to be very explicitly explained that this is what it is. This is what you're voting on at town meeting, period.
Well, it's got to be put in the line item anyway. Has to be put in black and white.
Don't think
Well,
the
it has
town,
to, it's that department, but you have to understand you also have a deputy in that department as well, so it's very clear.
but the deputy's not an elected official.
Right. It's very, you have to
Right.
delineate between the elected official. The law states, for the record, so that the other people that are watching the tape understand what we're talking about, the law states that the selectmen cannot make a decision on granting.
That's not what the law says.
The law says that the taxpayers make the decision on wages.
Legislative body.
The legislative body make the decision on wages and wage increases at town meeting. And
Doesn't say increases.
wages. We have done that a little bit differently with merit increases in the past, and now we know differently, for the sake of penalizing one person, that because we found out today.
And that's for the town clerk, tax collector only.
Yes.
It's for elected
Elected
officials.
official.
Yeah.
And that would be the only one that would be an
That's what we're
elected
talking
official.
about at this point.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, correct. So it's up to the town, at town meeting, for any monies voted on for that person to be given to in the budget at that time.
And it was what, so last year,
Last year, we included it in the
Was-
pool of merit raises for the entire town
but was it
hall.
in the 2012 budget that it was grouped as well?
Yes, and before
Okay.
that, it was individually under the
Right.
department.
So we combined it for
We
the,
combined it,
in 2011.
right, exactly. So, all right,
Well,
for the
Don was
record, you know, we're trying to right a wrong again, and this time, we were the ones that,
Shouldn't be at the sake of a employee, whether they're an elected official employee or hired employee.
right.
It just shouldn't be at their sake. They still are performing the task.
Well, as you stated, Catherine, that the legislative body approved the monies being spent as a merit raise, and she was included in that. Okay. Enough said.
Enough said. Absolutely.
All those in favor of Catherine's motion, say aye.
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 Sure, we should even vote without Joe here.
You going to wait for Joe?
Waiting for Joe. You want to take it up Monday?
Okay.
Monday, we have a,
That's a good call. It's an important vote. That was a good call. I'm embarrassed I didn't notice. Yeah, we should wait for Joe. We typically do for something as important as
rescind my
that.
second.
I rescind my motion.
Yes.
I think you keep us on straight. Jesus Christ.
And they say some days selectmen's jobs are easy. It's not. Okay, here you go.
Next on the agenda,
More stuff?
Do we have another, it was just that one payables? That's
What
it?
is the refund department? Oh, I know what that is. That's that payment from Franklin Savings Bank.
How are you doing?
Title services.
Have your dogs on the leash anymore? Oh, okay. Well, you've been kind of...
Oh.
But he now knows this.
Get it going with you. Get it great. Okay, the time being 6 o'clock, a public hearing will be held at the Board of Selectmen on Thursday, July 25th, at the Tilton Town Hall, 257 Main Street, at 6 p.m. on the petition delivered to the Board of Selectmen to universally amend pole and conduit license and other agreements that allow for uses of the municipal right-of-way in the town of Tilton to require the payment of properly assessed taxes. The petition is available for review in the Board of Selectmen's office at 257 Main Street between the hours of 8:30 and 4:15. The public is invited to attend and participate in the hearing. So, the hearing is officially opened. We will now conduct a hearing on a petition to universally amend the licenses the board has issued for pole and conduits in the public rights-of-way, and others who occupy the rights-of-way by either agreement, long-standing practice, or municipal acquiescence. The petition urges the board that the board require payment of properly assessed property tax as required by New Hampshire law. The board received the petitions on what date did we read?
You got it from me, not what it's on.
July 15th?
No, hold on, I'm checking the selectmen's minutes. June 28th, but we'll just double check.
That's the cost to insure those deeded properties.
The petition is dated June 20th, 2013. Jane Alden.
The board received the petition on June 20th, 2013 from Jane Alden. I will not read the whole petition out loud because it is lengthy, but there are copies available here. Ms. Alden, would you like to address the board and explain why the licenses needed to be amended?
Thank you, Chairman. The amendments proposed are in the public good because they would change the license to comply with the requirements of the New Hampshire law. It's my understanding that the New Hampshire law is clear at this time that the license such as those held by PSNH, the New Hampshire Electric Cooperative, Inc., and Fairpoint are required by law to include a section requiring the licensee to pay properly assessed real and personal property taxes. New England Telephone Company versus the City of Rochester in 1999. Verizon New England, Inc. versus City of Rochester in 2004. Verizon New England, Inc. versus City of Rochester in 2007. RSA 72:23, paragraph 1B, currently requires that all leases or other agreements for the use or occupation of real property owned by the town shall provide for the payment of properly assessed real and personal property taxes by the party using or occupying said property no later than the due date. The law also requires that if the leasee or person using or occupying the property fails to pay the duly assessed real and personal property taxes on the due date, the tax collector must notify the town, and the town terminate the lease or agreement. That's RSA: 23, 1C. The petition to the Board of Selectmen is to amend the license they have granted for conduits or poles in the public right-of-way to include these requirements so that they conform with the law.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Any of our current license holders or any of our citizens?
One at a time, please, one at a time.
Seeing that there is nobody else. Okay, let me just read one more letter into the record for to the Board of Selectmen, Town of Tilton, for the public hearing petition to amend poll licenses. Dear Board of Selectmen, the undersigned is legal counsel to Public Service of New Hampshire, PSNH. PSNH has been informed of a public hearing at which the Town of Tilton will take up the matter of the proposed amendment of poll and conduit license in the town in accordance with the provisions of RSA 72:23. This is to advise that to the extent the proposed amendment seeks to make language changes to the poll and conduit licenses of PSNH consistent with the rulings of New Hampshire Supreme Court in New England Tel Company versus City of Rochester, 144, New Hampshire, 118, 1999, and Verizon New England versus City of Rochester, 151, New Hampshire, 263, in 2004, PSNH does not intend to raise a legal objection to the amendment. However, this should not be construed as a waiver of PSNH's right to protest, seek an abatement of, or otherwise legally challenge as excessive or disproportionate the assessment by the Town of Tilton of any incremental property tax upon PSNH's use or occupancy of the public rights-of-way in Tilton, and PSNH fully reserves all such rights. PSNH respectfully requests that this letter be included in and made a part of the record of the minutes of the hearing of this matter on July 25th, 2013. Thank you. Christopher J. L. Warden, Senior Counsel, Legal Department. So we'll include that in the minutes, please. Is there anyone else that has anything or wishes to speak on the petition to amend the poll license?
Madam Chair, I think we have a quiet crowd tonight, they're not going to talk.
If no one else wishes to speak, then the hearing is now officially closed. Is there any more business to come before us in a public session?
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Are you kidding?
Oh, no,
Oh,
You kidding?
Wait a minute, hold on.
I won't be kidding.
Did you,
What, did I forget something?
oh, yeah, sorry, Jane, you're right.
Take my motion back.
Hold on.
I just burst my bubble.
Like to make a motion to grant the petition to amend poll licenses and other agreements.
second?
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Why?
Aye.
Ay, 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 ay.
I'm gonna go home and people are gonna go, why are you here? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
You're not supposed to be home. Happens
The
every
last
time.
time I came home early, Joe